Yeah. Hey.
Hey guys.
I'm muted. I stopped my video.
Why? Oh no, put your video on.
Hello, hello. All right, guys. It is 7 on the dot. I just let everybody in. There's no one in the waiting room. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in pretty quickly tonight. We are a little limited on time tonight, so I want to get everything in and then have time at the end for y'all to ask any questions. So I'm going to put my share screen on so y'all can see the presentation, and we will get rocking and rolling. Let's do presentation slideshow. All right, guys, I know it's been, I think, a while since I've chatted with this group. So tonight, our nutrition presentation is going to go a little bit deeper on some of the topics that we talked about on our first meeting. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail about snacks before practice. Hold on, I'm trying to let some people in. There we go. Snacks before practice, what would be best options for you guys to have in your bag to bring with you to the pool? How to eat and drink during a long swim meet, how to plan ahead, how to make sure you have healthier, smarter options in your bag during these longer meets. Your daily, and then we're also going to go into daily hydration, how important hydration is for you, what that looks like, how much you should be drinking, what are other suggestions outside of just water. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so let me move my screen around a bit. So snacks before practice. I think the last time we spoke, we went into a little bit more detail as far as macros are concerned, because like I've mentioned, I'm a macro focused nutrition coach. Your 3 macros are your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins, and making sure we eat all 3 of those in our diet. And then in y'all's case, being young athletes, finding the best nutritional timing for some of these macro and these food groups. So when it comes to pre-practice, pre-exercise, pre-workout, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be looking at your carbohydrates. So carbs are king in that nutritional timing before practice, before a meet. So the carbohydrates are the gas in the tank and the energy source needed before an exercise. So carbohydrates are things like breads, pastas, fruits, vegetables, whole grains like oatmeal, rice, all of those things that are breads, grains, those are your carbohydrates. And a lot of people don't know or didn't know that your fruits and vegetables also fall under the carbohydrate category. So there's 3 main types to create a balanced diet when you're looking at your carbs. There are simple carbs, there are complex carbs, and then there's fiber. So when we look at our simple carbs, those are things that are sugar or carry a high sugar content or transfer into sugar very quickly in our body. Now, not all simple sugars are bad. In some cases, simple may be better than complex when it comes to we need quick acting energy. Complex carbs are your starches. Those are, when I compare simple carbs to complex carbs, your simple carbs, I like to look at those as like if you're putting a twig or a stick onto a fire, Whereas a complex carb, it's like you put a log on the fire. So I just told you that our carbohydrates are things that are going to keep us burning, keep that fire rolling. So we want to be putting logs on our fire so that our energy levels stay up versus putting the twigs on the fire that burn up real quickly. So your simple examples of simple carbs are white breads, white pastas, white potatoes. Simple carbs are also things like sugar, baked goods, candy, all of those things that are really high sugar items that we want to kind of stay away from. Now, when I said sometimes simple sugars are good for energy when we're going to be using it right away. So like a white bread or a white pasta, if you're going to be using that energy very, very quickly, you're going straight into that workout, or it's during your workout, it may be beneficial. But I like to focus, and I like to tell my athletes and my clients to focus on complex carbs because it gives you that longer lasting energy. And for y'all are usually, your workouts are long. Those swim meets are long. So you want something that's going to really sustain you. So when we look at complex starches, those are things like our whole grains, our whole wheats. So bread and pasta aren't bad, but we want to just focus on more complex breads and pastas. So whole wheats, whole grains.
Recording in progress.
Looking at things like oatmeal, grains, granola, those things, they just take longer to digest in our body and for our body to burn through them. So it's longer lasting energy. Your third type of carb is fiber. Fiber is going to be found in your fruits and your vegetables. That's why those fall under carbohydrates. We want to focus on the complex ones before your workout and fiber. So examples of some snacks that would be really great for y'all to have before a workout. These are some of my go-to snacks. I've told the older group, I tell clients that I work with currently, before a workout, we want to look at these types of examples. So one of my go-tos is banana and peanut butter, or an apple and peanut butter. A little bit of a healthy fat from that peanut butter is going to be really helpful. It's another energy source with a whole fruit. A sandwich on whole wheat or multigrain bread, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a low sugar jelly, is a great pre-workout snack. Pretzels and hummus. Hummus falls under a legume category, but legumes and beans, those are also considered carbs. So hummus and pretzels would be a great snack. A whole wheat or multi-grain bagel with cream cheese. Those things would be great options for before a workout. I've told this to the older group. When you guys are going into practice, I know summer schedules a little bit differently, but when we get back into your school schedule, you're usually having a really large break from your last meal to this snack going into your swim practice. So you have room to have a mini meal there, whether that's a sandwich, a bagel, a bowl of oatmeal, whatever you have time for after school before practice. You can have quite a bit that you're going to need to be able to sustain you through these practices. Little mini granola bars, those aren't really going to cut it. Those little 100 calorie snacks, those aren't really going to cut it for what y'all really need before you get into a practice. Now, what I will say, summertime, this would be a great time for y'all to kind of workshop this with your family and try something new. While you have time, you're home, schedule's maybe a little bit different. You have more time at home to prepare. And then going into school year, you maybe have some new options to take with you, but not everybody can go into a workout on a full stomach, which I totally get. So the goal is for y'all to eat something 30 to 60 minutes before that workout. So half an hour to an hour before you guys are getting to the pool is when you should be having a snack. Some people can jump in, get started after they've just finished chewing, and that's fine. But some of you may need a little bit more time to digest in your body to process what you just eaten. So maybe play around with how much time you're allowing yourself to have that snack. All right, how to eat during a long meet. I know some of y'all's days can be 5 hours long out there. You may have to wait an hour or so between your events. And the worst thing for you to do is to get hungry. And then start your next event hungry, because we just decided that your food, especially your carbs, are your energy source. So you want to make sure you're taking in those energy sources, you're taking in those calories to give yourself optimal energy before you compete. So you need to pack your snacks. I know a lot of these pools or venues that are hosting y'all will have concession stands or will have vending machines. But usually at those concession stands, in those vending machines, we can't find the best options. It's usually chips, some crackers, some cookies, some candy, soft drinks. Those are the things we really want to try to avoid. So packing ahead is going to be really helpful. You want to pack yourself some snacks and a quote meal-sized snack to have in case you need it. For example, a chicken or a turkey wrap or sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a bagel with peanut butter or cream cheese. Those are going to be bigger sized, meal-sized snacks. You may not need it. If you pack a wrap, maybe you need half, and then you finish your first event and you've got an hour wait, you eat your second half. You can kind of spread it out. But having something that's a little bit bigger and beefier in your bag is going to be really helpful to fight and combat any hunger or any energy loss or lacking energy while you're there for such a long stretch of time. I tell my clients, you want to be eating every 3 to 4 hours at y'all's age, at your athletic, where you are athletically. You may be eating every 2 to 3 hours. So having things on hand to make sure we don't go into that hunger zone before we compete or before you start swimming is really important. Some smaller snacks would be some fruit. Again, maybe some grapes, an apple slices, a banana. All of those things would be great to have on hand. Pretzels, peanut butter crackers or peanut butter filled pretzels, a protein shake, granola bars. With granola bar, be mindful of the sugar content. We don't want something like those chewy granola bars. We want something with some substantial multigrain, whole grain goodness to it. So be really mindful of checking out the added sugar line on your bars. A lot of times those bars are candy bars hidden in a granola bar wrapper. So be really mindful of that. We want to make sure you don't get too hungry, your blood sugar doesn't crash, and you're giving the body the energy it needs to compete or the fuel the body needs to recover. So I say recover because let's say you swim early, but you still got to be there for the rest of the day. The protein shake would be a great recovery snack to have in your bag or in your ice chest or in your cooler, whatever you pack with you for the day. Some people can't swim on the protein shake because milky liquid doesn't always sit well. You may need to workshop that, but having a protein shake would be a great recovery snack. So we talked about pre-workout, pre-swim, pre-practice, having a carbohydrate like we just went over, but to recover, having a pre-made protein shake would be really helpful. All right, hydration. Your hydration tips. So, especially because it is summer, it is hot, even though you are in the water and under the water, you are sweating and you are losing water. We need to replenish that water. So one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how many ounces of water am I supposed to drink a day? Now, I'm sure y'all have heard somewhere along the way, 8 glasses of water a day. Yes, for most people, but how big is a glass? How full should I make that glass? How many ounces is in a cup? What does that look like? For you guys, it's going to be a little bit different than your classmates or your peers who are not athletic, who are not in swim practice stately, who are not out in the sun doing dry land workouts. So you want to, a rule of thumb for you guys would be half to 1 ounce of water per your body weight. Now, what does that mean? For example, if you weigh 110 pounds, you need to drink 55, which is half of 110, or 110 ounces of water a day. That is a lot of water, okay? In 1 cup, it's 8 ounces. In a regular little bottle of water that you can buy at the store, those are usually 16, 17 ounces. So it's really important that y'all are staying hydrated, not just for swim practice, not just going to swim practice, packing your water bottle, but drinking throughout the day. Hydration is one of those things that I tell people, you can't play catch up. You have to stay ahead of your hydration. We don't want to go into our workout dehydrated because you can't make up for that. So you really want to stay hydrated throughout the day, leading up to your workout, and then you want to be drinking through that workout as the workout allows. So if you are nowhere near your body weight, I suggest making yourself the half of an ounce per your body weight goal, a new goal for you coming up this week or starting this week. It's Monday. So for some people, I've gotten asked, what's the easiest way for me to track it? How can I stay on top of it? I like to use a big water bottle that I've bought off of Amazon that has the ounce marks on it. And it also usually will have time marks of the day. So at the top, it'll say by 10 a.m. you need to be down here. By noon, you need to be down here. And it also has the ounce mark. So you can always fill up. Let's say your goal is 50 ounces a day. Fill that bottle up to 50 ounces, start drinking first thing in the morning and see kind of where you stand. It's a big goal. It may be way outside of what y'all are normally drinking, but just maybe start keeping an eye on what you are drinking so you kind of see where you stand. Can I drink sports drinks like Gatorade and Powerade? Yes. However, I have some suggestions on when to drink it, which ones to drink. So I suggest drinking the 0 sugar options when you're not exercising. So when you're not at swim practice, when you're not at the meet, there's no reason for y'all to be taking in all of that additional added sugar. So I know all of these brands, Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor, they all have a no added sugar or a low sugar option. Those would be fine to sprinkle in through your day, include it into your hydration. During a meet, going back a couple slides where I said some of those simple sugars are helpful when we're going to be using those sugars and using those carbs immediately, this would be an example of that. When you are on the swim deck, when you are swimming, when you are at practice, when you are at a meet and you need some additional calories and you need some additional carbohydrates to give you that energy, those added sugars can be helpful at that time. I don't think you need all the added sugars randomly throughout the day if you are not burning the calories using the energy. Does that make sense? Other hydration questions I get, are there any supplements I should take for an additional hydration? Yes, they are totally not mandatory. You don't need to if you're taking in your water and you're drinking some sports drinks to replace some electrolytes. That's fine. But if you would like to add in a hydration supplement, especially during these summer months, because of the added sweat loss and water, or the added sweating, the added water loss, these 4 are some of my suggestions. So there are these tablets. They come in little cylinders. They are a little circle tablet you dissolve in a bottle of water. They're called Noon tablets. Be very careful. Whoever is listening and doing the shopping, there are Noon that's called Noon Energy, and they're loaded with caffeine. We do not want the caffeinated options. You want to make sure yours does not say Noon Energy on that tablet. Liquid IV. Again, the liquid IV, like your Gatorade and your Powerade, your regular ones, are very high in the added sugar because they're replacing some of those electrolytes. Those would be great for during practice. I don't think you need to be drinking liquid IV during the day, but it's a great added supplement that has a ton of electrolytes in it. Number 3, those sugar-free sports drinks like the Gatorade, the Powerade, the Body Armors. And then number 4, Branch chain amino acids, BCAAs. That is something y'all can take. You don't need to. Be mindful of the label, guys who do the shopping. Make sure if it says 18 years or older. I can't be sure if it does. I don't think it does, but be mindful of the label on which brand you choose. They can just help with recovery, muscle repair, fatigue, those types of things. But those are my hydration tips. All right, guys, I know we kind of went through that quickly. But those were my 3 topics for tonight. Do you guys have any questions about pre-practice snacks, about packing snacks and meals for meets, and any hydration questions, or anything that I didn't touch on that maybe we can talk about next time?
Hey, Nichole.
Hey, Scott.
Real quick, can you talk a little bit about, because when we go to our championship meet, we typically have a morning session where we swim preliminaries. Then we have about a 3 to 4 hour break, and then we come back and swim finals. And finals, a lot of time will finish up pretty late in the evening. Can you kind of address when they should eat and the type of things, they should be eating? When do they eat a big meal between sessions, or a lighter meal between sessions, and then a big meal after finals, or
Yeah.
any suggestions on that?
Sure. So my suggestion for that is always eat your breakfast. If the morning is early, then it's time to start waking up a little bit earlier, planning ahead, having something there. Again, like I mentioned, depending on how quickly and how early that prelim is, maybe it is a whole wheat bagel and peanut butter, or a whole wheat bagel and cream cheese. That's totally fine. Then you swim, and then you have that big 3 to 4 hour break. This is where we want the good stuff. This is where we want a big beefy meal. We want to avoid things like fried food, fast food. Those things really weigh us down. They really make us lethargic and sleepy. They suck all the good energy out of us. So going to get a good meal. So I know a lot of times on these travel, y'all are out of town. We're going out to a restaurant, which is totally fine. But looking to things like a sandwich, like a chicken sandwich, or a platter like from the grill, trying to avoid anything fried like chicken tenders or fried seafood, French fries, getting things that will feel a little bit better on our tummies, even though you may not right now. You may say, yeah, but I swim great after I eat a box of Cane's. But you would probably feel better if you ate something a little bit cleaner, like a grilled chicken sandwich. That might make you feel and perform a little bit better, but that would be a perfect time for you to get a good meal. Some pasta would be great, with some meat sauce, like a meatball, chicken, seafood, that's fine. Anything where you're going to get a nice lean protein, a carb, is going to be really important. Avoiding the fast food. In some cases, I'd usually suggest avoid super heavy dairy. So if you do go get Italian or something, maybe avoid Alfredo sauces. My other suggestion also is, if you are out of town and you are going to a restaurant you've never tried before, maybe it's not the time to go have sushi for the first time. I work with a lot of athletes, and I tell them all the time, the day of a meet, the day of a race, the night before a race, it's not the time to try something brand new, not knowing how your tummy may respond to it. Okay. Stick to the things that we know. Avoid the fried food, avoid high dense creamy sauces, but you do want to get in a good meal right there, because you probably didn't have a ton in the morning if it was super early. You probably just had a snack or two maybe while you were there. This is your time to get some good nutritional density to your day. Then have those snacks for when you go back to compete, and then have a really good dinner afterwards. Have that next big beefy meal after. Scott, was that helpful? Laying that out?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I wanted.
Perfect. Yep. Anyone else?
Come on, guys. Now's the time to ask.
If you don't want to speak up, you can drop it in the chat. I'm going to turn my screen off and open my chat back up. If you want to drop something in the chat, if you have any questions about anything that you are currently eating and you want to see if it's good or bad, that's always something fun for people to ask. If you've been thinking about trying something new, but weren't sure if it's healthy, hydration. What else? Any suggestions on next topics? If there's something that I didn't touch on that you know that you've been waiting for me to touch on,
I can't be there, just quiet.
it's okay. It took me a really long time to break the older group, but they now they've gotten much chattier with me. Is watermelon a good thing to eat during a meet? Yes, love it. Go to town on some watermelon. Love it. Watermelon's also very hydrating because it's super water dense. Not that it's going to make up for any of your hydration, but it will be beneficial to your hydration. Now, watermelon is a great snack. However, it is not very high in calories, so it's not giving you a ton of energy. Okay, so just be mindful of that. It's great to snack on. I love it as a snack. During the summer months, I have one cut up in my fridge at all times, but it is not very dense in calories. And remember, calories are energy. So we're not looking for low calorie. We want the calories. So granola bars are good if they have a good grain or like whole wheat, just not high sugar or no, yes. Granola bars are great. A good grain, yep, yep, they're great. Just be mindful of the sugar. So without having a label in front of me, when you look at a label, a nutrition label on the back of a food, on the back of a package, there is going to be a line that says total sugars. And then below that, there's gonna be a line that says added sugars. I want you to compare those two. If if total sugars says 10 and added sugars says 10, that means that all of the sugar from that bar came from an artificial source. We want to be mindful of eliminating as many added sugars from your food groups as possible. Now, most granola bars, most bars are going to have some added sugar, and that's totally fine. I get that. That's fine. Just be mindful of your choices. Cliff Bar during a meet is fine. Yes. It's not my favorite to just like snack on, but for y'all's group, Cliff Bars are totally fine. Good food to have if you get nauseous. Crackers. A plain carbohydrate. So crackers, pretzels, those types of things would be helpful to combat nausea. If you're getting nauseous, is that usually during practice, after practice? Come back to me, Zoe, about the nausea. Because if we start being more mindful of our snacks and our meal choices, we might be able to fight the nausea. You might be able to get ahead of that nausea and not get nauseous. You may be getting nauseous because you're hungry. If you're eating too fast or too quick before a meet, yes. So if that's because maybe we need to wake up a little bit earlier in the morning to give our body time to digest, because like I said, some people can eat minutes before, some people need a good 30 minutes to digest. And that's totally normal. And that's going to be an experiment that you need to kind of work through, finding your sweet spot of when you can eat before you swim. But that may mean we need to wake up a little bit earlier in the morning to give your body that time. So eating slower, and at that point, fighting the nausea might be kind of hard because you've eaten too fast and your body just needs time to digest. So depending on, I don't know if eating something else would combat the nausea. So I think it's going to be, you need to play around with the timing and how soon or how late you need to eat before you start swimming. Jeremiah, would a pack of Welch's gummies be good to eat before a race? Not as the only thing. No. It's candy. So Teresa, any of those suggestions that I posted about earlier, the best foods to eat before a race, a healthy carbohydrate. If you're talking about a snack, a healthy carbohydrate, or if you're talking about a meal, you need a carbohydrate with a lean protein. So like pasta, a big like chicken sandwich. Good questions. Anyone else?
I'll ask one more.
Sure.
How much time prior to a race is it good to snack? I mean, how much time should there be between when you eat something and when you race for it to be the most effective?
30 to 60 minutes. 30 to 60 minutes before your activity. So okay. I say that in regards to when was the last time you ate. Okay. So we want to be eating. So if it's during the meet and you just ate an hour, or you just ate probably 2 hours ago and you're not super hungry, you may not need to eat something again before that event. But let's say you haven't eaten anything in 3 hours, you know your event's coming up in 30 minutes to an hour, you should probably have a snack. Okay. It may be, guys, for y'all's age group, and for y'all, this may be something that you've never had to really think about before. You may need to start paying attention to where you are in that lineup, where your event falls, what time is it, what time did you last eat. It's going to take a little bit of some planning on y'all's part to kind of stay on top of checking the time, listening to how your body feels, which may be a new concept for you, listening to, am I hungry? Especially in the summer times, I tell people all the time, are we hungry or are we bored? Whenever there's a change in our schedules, are we mindfully eating or are we mindlessly eating? So listen to your body. If you're feeling hungry and you know your event is coming up and you haven't eaten in the last hour, you need to have a snack. And that's why I say pack something a little bit beefier, pack something a little bit lighter, so you have options. If you go home with food at the end of the day, that's fine, but at least you had all the tools in your tool bag for you, so you could figure out what you needed, and you can't say, oh, I didn't have it. Being underprepared is going to be your enemy. So making sure you just have the stuff on you and in your bag and available is going to be the most important, because you also don't want to get stuck having to go to the concession stand or having to go to that vending machine and getting stuck with a bag of Skittles. Sound good?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Let me know if you guys think of anything else. Oh, did someone say something? No? Okay. All right, guys, thank y'all so much. Have a great Monday, and I will talk to y'all in a month or two.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Y'all have a good one.
Bye-bye.